Well, what's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Raid Shadow Legends, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the new Fusion champion who was just announced today, Opardin Clanfather, who is a new Barbarian legendary. He's going to be an HP champion, and he is going to be Magic Affinity. Plarium announced today this will be the next fusion. It's going to be a fragment fusion, so hopefully it will be a little bit easier than some of the other ones, especially considering this guy's kit may seem a bit lackluster when we first talk about it. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at his art and then also take a look at his kit here. Pretty cool looking champion. Again, they seem to be going off theme lately here, where these last couple of champions seem like they should have been in the Skinwalker faction. This guy, I guess, is kind of a barbarian goat man, is what we will call him here, but he still does look pretty cool, so kind of a neat champion here. And we'll see what his kit looks like now. So a couple different abilities here. His A1, we're going to start with Paired Hammers. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 5%. And a 50% chance of filling his turn meter by 5%. My first look at this is kind of a lackluster A1. This is like something like Lightsworn has. He's like an epic with a 3-hitter that does some turn meter. Even Arminger with the turn meter reducing A1, I believe, does 30%. So 5% really doesn't do much, especially when you consider this guy is a legendary and you would want to be using him on harder content. When you get into some of the harder content in the game, like Doom Tower or the 21 to 25 dungeons, the turn meter effect is kind of cut in half on some of the bosses, so it's a little harder to get value out of such a low turn meter. And even Visix, who's a free champion they give to you, has a very similar A1 to that. The only really nice thing here is it does fill his turn meter a little bit, which kind of synergizes with the rest of his kit, but overall kind of a lackluster A1 for a legendary champion. Hopefully this does book up to 100% chance, otherwise I don't really see how this is that worth it. His A2 is Rally the Tribe, attacks all enemies, heals all allies by 10% of this champion's max HP, heals all allies under a continuous heal buff by 15% instead. So it has a little bit of synergy with continuous heal. Attack all is always good. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. Hopefully that's bookable down to 3 to make this a little bit more useful. Obviously, we don't know how hard this is going to hit. This might be an HP nuke type ability. We don't know quite yet. But the ability to heal all allies is pretty nice, even though 10%, again, for a legendary seems a little bit low, obviously, unless you have that continuous heal buff up. When you think about it, you can get someone like Vrask, who even with his A1, as long as he's critting, is healing his entire team. On all of his attacks, basically, anytime he crits, heals his entire team. It's a little difficult for me to see the major value of this champion as a legendary, and that's why I kind of said earlier his kit seems a little when you first look at it. So we'll go on here. We'll see how this works when they come out, see if maybe this is a big nuke ability. Maybe that'll help save it a little bit. His A3 is Clan Mentor. Removes all block buffs and heal reduction debuffs from all allies, then places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on allies for 2 turns. Also has a 75% chance of removing 1 random debuff from all allies. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. Cleansing skills are always nice, especially with the state of the game right now, with a lot of the boss content you have to do. I could see this being a nice ability for the Hydra boss, having that ability to cleanse 1 random debuff. Hopefully that cooldown will also drop down to like 3. The issue with this is also, again, you've got epics like Doom Priest that can come in and basically cleanse 1 random debuff every single turn. Basically, you put a Doom Priest in a Relentless set, and you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So again, we're talking about a legendary whose kit just seems like it can be filled in by other champions that are of lesser value. And that's really my main problem with this so far. Although I do kind of see where this guy may have some niche use in a couple areas of the game, but we'll talk about his passive first, and then we'll move on to some other things. Every time a continuous heal buff heals an ally, it's going to fill that ally's turn meter by 5%. If there are multiple champions in the team with this skill, only one of those will activate. So that's kind of nice. Anybody that puts out a continuous heal that you would pair this guy with, you'll get some turn meter boost there. Again, the only thing is with this 5% just seems like such a minuscule value. I'm really not sure where you're going to get a lot of value out of that from. But it's kind of cool, though, if you were going to go with some type of like brute force healing team. There's a lot of continuous heal champions that are pretty solid. You know, you've got Jareg, who's a very good attack down champion that puts up a continuous heal. You've got someone like Urgrim who puts up the continuous heal. Even someone like Mashalad, seems like that would be a nice pairing for like the Hydra boss. A lot of people are using him on Hydra. You get those continuous heal from him. Pair him up with this guy, and you're going to get a lot of healing. But the only area I really see this guy excelling in is probably going to be against the Frost Spider in the Doom Tower. And that's because of his A3, which removes all block buffs and heal reduction debuffs from all allies. And the Frost Spider is actually the boss that comes to mind who puts out these two specific debuffs on your team. And this would be very, very useful for removing those. That said, I honestly don't see a lot of overall game value in this guy, just because his kit seems, kind of meh to me. And like I said, I'm sure he'll have some niche use for later on in the game. I've seen some higher level platinum players talking about how you could pair this guy with the Wither and just have this massive, like, unkillable team that just continues to heal itself over and over again on arena defense. I'm not sure if I see that. And again, that applies to like 1% of the player base. Most of us are not going to be going after some type of strategy like that. There are a couple areas in the game where you can go for brute force healing strategies. Bomb of the Dreadhorn, we've gone over some things with using Vrask and Fogoth there. So this guy will have some use in some areas. He's going to be pretty good, if you're just going for a team that's going to continually just heal itself. But my kind of counter to that is most of the content in the game, you're trying to get a team that's fast enough with enough crowd control that healing really doesn't become an issue for like 95% of the content in this game. You're getting into some really high-end niche content before you really have to worry about needing such brute force healing. And they said this guy was also designed to help out the support champions in the Barbarian faction, but you've already got Syl the Drakes, who's a free champion you get on your 6th month, who can definitely fill that role very well. There's also Skytouch Shaman. Barbarian Faction Wars is one of the easier factions to finish in the game, so this guy, you really shouldn't need this guy to be able to get through that. But being that he's a fragment fusion, I guess we can't expect much, and also we can hope that he's going to be accessible to more players in the game, so it's possible this guy could help you out maybe on the Fire Knight. Again, that 5% Terminator reduction just doesn't seem like enough on the A1, but that might be another area you do find some use for this guy. So, I don't know. I mean, he's, like I said, seems like a very niche champion. Not quite sure where a lot of people are going to be using this guy. If you guys have ideas for any of it, let me know down below in the comments. I'm going to go for him because he is a fragment fusion, and these are generally pretty easy to get. So I think if your account is, at least a little bit through the early game into the mid game, you should be able to have the resources to go after something like this. So I never want to say not to go for a fusion because you never know what's going to happen with them. In the long run, they might get buffed. They might have some tweaks done to their kit. There may be another boss that comes out. It's something we always have to consider with these fusions. Similar to with Elgato, when she first came out, a lot of people were wondering, what are we going to use this champion for? And then, of course, Doom Tower came out with a lot of duplicate enemy champions where her kit really excelled against that. So you never know. And if it's an easy fusion like this with the fragments, I would say try to get it. See if you can get it. Go for it. And you never know. At worst, he's going to sit in your vault. He'll give you 50 levels in a champ training or something that you can use there. But I'm not particularly sure where I'm going to use him on my account. I just don't really see him fitting into a particular role or a particular team, other than, like I said, maybe the Frost Spider for like hard Doom Tower possibly. That's something that could come into use. But since I have Drexar Blood Twin, that makes that fight pretty much trivial. I'm not sure I would really get much use out of this guy. So let me know what you guys think down below about this fusion. Is this something you're going to go after? Do you think there's something I'm missing on this? I know a lot of content creators are really down on this guy, but I like to look at it from all the aspects, and I definitely think you'll be able to get some use out of him in some very niche cases, especially later on in the game if you were a higher-end late-game player. So I'm going to say, probably worth it to go ahead and go after him, just to have, more tools in your toolbox. That's never a bad thing when it comes to this game, especially if your account's still developing and you need champions to help you in certain areas. But like I said, let me know what you guys think. That's going to do it for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again next time.